The following segments are pre-recorded and sponsored by Longworth Productions.
The dangers of distracted driving. I'll try it today. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth. Welcome to another episode of Triad Today, coming to you once again from the beautiful Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. We'll tell you more about them later on, and later on is when the roundtable shows up. We'll get into all sorts of controversial topics, so stay tuned for that. Some great guests, important information coming your way throughout the half hour, so stay with us. Where we want to start, though, is talking about organizations that get together that are helping to strengthen, empower, and improve our community in so many different ways. And it just so happens that all three of these folks are good friends who have been on the show before. We welcome back Lafayette Jones, who's CEO and publisher of SMSI Urban Call Publications. He brought along two special guests, our good friend Paula McCoy, Executive Director of WS Rise, and of course, Director of Partnership for Prosperity, and Michael Suggs is President and CEO of Gower Community Development Corporation, CDC as we refer to it. Good to see you, folks.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Lafayette, I'm going to start with you. Tell us about Urban Call for folks that maybe just moved into the area, they don't know. Tell us about Urban Call and the collaborative marketing efforts that you employ to bring much needed programs to the community. Bring us up to speed.
Well, we are both a print and a digital publication, and we serve many customers, many clients like WS Rise, like Golar CDC. We're about information and getting information to consumers and how they can improve their lives, empower themselves. Not news, but information. We work with American Heart Association. There's a lot going on with black women in particular, higher death rates after birth, 40%, with Golar CDC because it's been around now for 22 years and has done a great job in many things. Michael will tell you about that. And also a new organization developed with United Way and Paula McCoy this past year. Right. And they're about community development, and Paula will tell you about that.
Well, that's a good segue over to Paula, too. Now, what is, let's remind people, what is WS Rise? What's the mission and what's the theme?
The mission of Winston-Salem Rise is to develop and partner with community-led organizations and initiatives that work to eradicate racial inequities for Black people. Our tagline is putting Black lives first for a change, and we focus on 7 social determinants of health. And this is the way that people live, learn, work, play, age, and worship. And those social determinants are housing, education, health and wellness, jobs, workforce development, and economic development.
All the things that set up obstacles and barriers to all the things that you need to have to be able to be successful and healthy and that kind of thing. I think that's important. But you also, Lafayette was telling me, I think he sent me an email one day that you guys at Winston-Salem Rise received a grant from Kate B. Reynolds, good friends at Kate B. Reynolds Charitable Foundation. What's that all about? What's that going to be used for?
The grant is a data collection and data analysis. We are going to be looking at the safety nets that people have that they need to meet their basic needs. And we want to be able to create a blueprint for East Winston and to help access the resources that will, create a thriving life for all people.
Right. Now, Michael, let me turn to you. The Gower CDC, you and I have talked about this before. You've been on the show before, but again, for folks maybe that moved into the area, bring us up to speed on that. What's the mission?
Sure. And before I get into that, let me just applaud Paul and what they're doing with Winston-Salem Rise, because Goal is very involved in that as well. I actually serve as chair of economic development and workforce development. Well, Goal has been around for over 22 years now, and we will focus on 3 areas: workforce development, affordable housing, and healthy living strategies. And currently we have a program called Tech Careers, where we're training people for careers in technology, because we see that as a new economy for Winston-Salem. So that's one of the things that we're doing, but we're also trying to get people more involved in the internet, because once again, there are a lot of folks in our community that do not have broadband and internet. And so the way to make people have an enjoyable life, they got to make sure that they are connected. So those are some of the things that we're doing.
You're talking about applauding. I applaud all of you for that kind of thing. Before time gets away, I want to make sure I get a plug for all this. You can go to www.goercdc.com. Please do that and check that out. Also, for Winston-Salem Rise, you can go to wsrise.org, and I hope you will go there as well. And finally, It's urbancallpodcast.com, which is fascinating. Urbancallpodcast.com. Lafayette, I appreciate you bringing all these folks together. I appreciate you telling the stories that they have to tell and helping people get that information out to people to improve lives and improve the quality of life. I really thank you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you.
All right, thanks, folks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you that Triad Today is now streaming on WFMY Plus, available free on Roku and Amazon Fire TV.
Need help buying food? Everyone needs help sometimes. Food Nutrition Services may be able to help you buy food and free up your money for other expenses, such as utilities and medicine. To receive F&S assistance, households must meet income limits. You may be able to get assistance even if you own a home, car, land, property, or have a retirement plan or money in the bank. Second Harvest Food Bank of Northwest North Carolina team members can help you with the application process over the phone. To receive help or if you have any questions, call 336-422-7758.
Back now on Triad Today, we welcome to the show a guest who has been a long time since he's been on, and we're so glad he could spare a few minutes for us. Christopher Cook is owner of Alliance Insurance Services. Good to see you, sir.
Hey, Jim, great seeing you.
I see you all over the media, you're expert in all these different insurance fields. Before we get to any of that, though, I'm always saying insurance company or insurance services. You guys are actually a brokerage firm. Now, what does that mean in terms of the insurance services?
Yeah, sure. So Alliance Insurance Services is our trade name. That's what we go by. We are an independent agent, a brokerage. That means we're working on behalf of our customers to find the product that best fits them.
So I'm not locked into just one company because you like one company.
Correct. We represent hundreds of companies, literally, and we're going to put you with a carrier that's your best fit. That may be somebody, Travelers that you've heard of, or it may be auto owners that maybe doesn't brand as much.
Right. Let me sort of backtrack because I think you sent me an email one day that you have a new office location. So as you tell me where that is, also just sort of remind folks what towns or cities you're in total.
Yeah, so big news for us, exciting. In January, we expanded to Clemens with the acquisition of Fortress Insurance Group. So Fortress now operates under the Alliance umbrella as well, out of the Clemens location. Prior to that, in 2021, we had expanded to Pilot Mountain, which happens to be my hometown. We're also in Mount Airy, Walnut Cove, and of course, we were founded in Winston-Salem.
Absolutely. Now, the big thing I want to talk about with you is that I understand you're offering a scholarship program. What is that all about, and what's the tie-in to distracted driving? What's it all to do with that?
Distracted Driving Awareness Month is upon us, and in our line of work, that becomes a prevalent issue frequently, most of the time with claims. But we just want to reinforce to the folks that driving while on your phone or reading the newspaper or putting on makeup or talking to your children in the back seat or whatever it might be is unsafe for you and for others.
What is it you tell people there's only one thing you need to be doing when you're driving?
Driving.
Yeah, that's right. So what is this scholarship thing, though?
Yeah, we're going to have young folks submit videos to us about the dangers of distracted driving, and we're going to award 3 young people with some scholarship dollars for their college education to the top 3 vote getters, if you will.
I just think that's great. I want to just ask you one quick personal thing, and if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine, but I think folks at home should know that you and your family have a personal connection to distracted driving that's tragic.
Yeah, so certainly trying to choke back a couple of tears here, but in 2007, lost my little brother in a single vehicle automobile accident. I certainly can't prove to you what he was doing in that moment, but our suspicion or belief is that a telephone was involved. And so, yeah, that is a topic that's near and dear to our heart.
And a lot of people who, that are involved in these kind of accidents, even if they survive, sometimes they hit somebody or they hit a pedestrian or whatever. So it's very serious. Before we lose time, I want to circle back to the kids and the scholarships and the competition. Now, who exactly is going to be eligible to do this? Are there certain ages or what?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked because this year, in years past, that has been offered to high school seniors.
Right.
And so this year we've expanded that offering to any high school senior or current college student that wants to send in a submission. And the scholarship dollars do have to be used towards a college education, but it's seniors and current college kids.
I just think that's great what you're doing. It's great on two levels because you're helping the kids get an education, and in what you're doing, you're helping them and yourselves educate people about distracted driving and the dangers. The general website you can check out is myallianceinsurance.com, which I hope you will do, myallianceinsurance.com. And I have to just give a disclaimer that Christopher handles all my insurance. We didn't have him on because of that, but I just think what you're doing is great, not just through your profession, but in helping people and educating them. And thanks a lot for everything.
Thanks for letting me be here today, Jim.
We'll be right back after this.
You know, it's hard to believe the Safe Sober program has been going strong for over 30 years.
And over 600,000 students have made the pledge to stay safe and sober on prom night. You know, Griff, it's had a huge impact on our community.
Yeah, you're right, David. And now we're making sure the message continues year-round.
So everyone can join us in supporting our students.
Learn more and take the pledge at safesober.com, sponsored by Daggett Schuler.
What are you waiting for? Your future awaits at Guilford Technical Community College. Make amazing happen.
Back now on Triad Today, and we have a returning visitor, and we are always glad when she can take time to visit with us. Tony Foles is a Project Family Engagement Coordinator for Project Reentry through the courtesy of the good folks at Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina. Good to see you, Ms. Foles.
You too. How are you?
Doing fine, doing
Excellent.
fine. I want to talk about this Project Reentry thing. So for people that maybe have just moved into the area or don't know about it, let's remind everybody, what is Project Reentry? How did it get started? What's the goal?
So Project Reentry, we work with justice-involved individuals and their families. So we start the process while they're still incarcerated. So we start working with them up to 18 months prior to their release, and it's a 16-week curriculum where we help prepare them for their successful transition.
Give me some examples of things that you offer, the program, services, advice, whatever. Give me a few examples of what you share with these
Right.
folks.
So we talk about resources out in the community because there's a lot of misinformation that goes around the prison of things that are available, but it's really not. So we bring realities into the prison. We bring in the resources. We talk about attitude. How do I fill out applications? How do I interview? What does that look like? Many of our participants have been in for long periods of time, up to 40, 50 years. So for them coming out, it's like starting from scratch and not knowing anything in the community, like even how to wash your hands. The automatic faucets is new to them.
All the technology's new.
Yes, so it's just teaching them the basics.
Now, I know it's going to sound like a stupid question, but who's eligible to take advantage of these services? I know we talk about folks that have been through the criminal justice system, folks getting out of prisons. But, I mean, is there a specific population that's eligible?
If they're justice involved, they have a criminal record, they're eligible.
But you also mentioned families, so what does that mean exactly?
So we provide support and services to the families. So while the mother or father who's incarcerated, we help provide support for the children. What does that look like for them? And then when the parent comes home, we have a plan. So what is the best interest of the kids? And how can we best serve them? Whatever issues mom, caregiver have, we need to look at what is good for the kids first. And so that's what we set up a plan for that.
Right, because now they're going to be a hands-on caregiver.
Yeah.
Instead of being incarcerated. It's going to be a difficult transition, and I'm glad that you're stepping in to help with this. How are you guys funded, by the way?
So we are funded by all the donations that everyone gives to the Goodwill stores. So it's free of charge. Anyone can come, and we can provide services to them.
Now, you sent me an email one day saying that the month of April is kind of a big month for Project Reentry. What did you mean by that?
So April has been designated by the state of North Carolina as Reentry Month. So it's to bring awareness to justice-involved individuals and their families. So a lot of things that when you think of someone who's justice involved, you may think of those shows that you see, Maximum Lockup or these crazy shows.
Right.
Those are not the people that we serve. The ones that we serve are the ones that make poor choices. They're not bad people, they just make poor choices, and we help them find success in whatever challenges they have.
Now, are there ways for the community to get involved or support the project, or what about that?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we're doing in June is we're having a reentry simulation. So for those who may think, what is it like coming home from incarceration. So we'll have a simulation that we invite all of the public to come, and they can help volunteer. They can be part of the simulation, or just really be an advocate for those who are justice involved.
Absolutely. And before time gets away, I want to put up a couple websites. PTRC, our good friends at Piedmont Triad Regional Council, at ptrc.org. You can check that out or call 724-3621. And the general website for Goodwill, Goodwill NW stands for Northwest, goodwillnwnc.org. Please check that out. And Todd, as Todd mentioned earlier, we want you folks, lots of ways to get involved, including be sure you keep donating items to Goodwill, because when they sell those, it goes in the resale store, and then those profits go to make these kind of programs possible. And thanks for everything you do.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back after this.
Are you looking to jumpstart your future in the fast-paced, rapidly growing food industry? In Second Harvest Food Bank's Providence Culinary Training Program, you'll learn the craft and art of cooking, plus business and management skills, science and nutrition, and essential life skills. Providence Culinary Training has helped hundreds of individuals just like you launch successful culinary careers. There's no reason to wait to turn your passion for food into an exciting career. Check out the upcoming class schedule on our website at providencews.org.
Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you to catch my column Longworth at Large and Yes Weekly every week. It's available throughout the Triad, or you can go online, yesweekly.com. Back now on Triad Today, and we have a real treat for you. We have 3 generations of herders here, plus, I don't know, a herdie or something. Anyway, we have Joan, the border collie, who's here. What, 10 weeks old? What did you say?
9 weeks.
9 weeks old. How about that? She's just precious, too. And anyway, let me introduce everybody. Henry Kuykendall is co-owner of Kuykendall Coulter Border Collies. He's right next to me. Cody, you've seen on the show before. Cody Kuykendall is co-manager of Kuykendall's Border Collies and vice president of Goose Masters. And, of course, our good buddy, Kent Kuykendall, who's a co-owner of Goose Masters and been on the show before. He's the one holding Joan back there. And we appreciate you guys being here. We're talking about 3 generations. Henry, let me start with you. How far back does it go with your family using border collies for herding?
Back to 1948.
Well, how are things different in using the border collies and the herding and everything? How's it different from then to now?
It's the same thing.
Really?
We work them just like we used to.
And do you have some kind of distinction of this is the longest 3rd generation business of using border collies for herding, or what? Or did I just making that up? I don't know of any others.
I really don't know of any others in this part of the country anyway.
Now with the border collies, I think people might be interested to know, isn't it true, or didn't you or Cody or Kent send me an email or something one day about the fact that even somebody like Joan, there's kind of a long lineage of the border collies going back to the old days. Didn't you sort of keep that going?
Yeah, we still, I started in 1948 and with my father bought a border collie.
Right.
And I've had a border collie ever since then, at least one.
That's great. So
Sometimes
you learned
too many.
Yeah, you learned this from your dad, and of course y'all were doing sheep and livestock, right?
Right.
And of course now, Cody, I turn to you. You've been on the show before representing Goose Masters.
Yep.
And we talk about training and breeding border collies anyway, but with Goose Masters, it sort of takes it to a different level. It's not sheep and livestock, although the border collies can do that, but you're focusing on Canada geese. Why?
Just the issue that they can cause in the city environments and public parks and colleges or any property that is having an issue with the geese.
Safety issues. I mean, it seems like every week we read that airplanes hit a goose or something in midair. It's hit a propeller or a jet. So there's all sorts of things. Health reasons. If you live in a house or apartment or around restaurants, you don't want the health and safety hazards around there. I guess what I want to ask you too is, since we have 3 generations here, and Kent told me before we started he wanted the oldest and the youngest to do the talking. What's it like sort of learning from your grandfather and your dad and being part of the whole deal?
It's good just to have the knowledge of how to handle different situations that come up with dogs, just the knowledge that they have and being able to deal with the situation kind of that any comes up with training and even working them.
Yeah. And I guess, Kent, even though I know you said you didn't want to say anything, but do the Border Collies, who works harder, the Border Collies or Cody?
I would have to say Cody, because the dogs kind of just do their thing, and Cody's got to look after them and keep them safe.
Right. Well, I hope she doesn't do her thing right now, because that would be a...
She's acting a little restless.
Yeah, she's acting... Well, women do act that way around me. They get restless and things happen. But I appreciate you bringing everything. I think this is a real honor to have 3 generations here like this, and I hope you guys keep it going. And I just think it's fascinating what you're doing with bringing up the collies and training them and everything. Before time runs out, let me mention a few things here. Goosemasters.com is a website. Kuykendallbc.com is another website I want you to check out. Kuykendall-Coulter-Border-Collies.net. I hope you'll check out all of those. And to Henry and Cody and Kent, for all the great things they do to keep us safe and healthy by taking care of that goose population and taking care of these collies. I appreciate, guys, everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back after this.
Every cookie sold in the Girl Scout Cookie Program helps girls learn lifelong lessons in people skills, decision making, money management, goal setting, and business ethics. It's amazing how much you can learn from a cookie. The Girl Scout Cookie Program. Think outside the box.
Back now on Triad Today, just about time for the round table, but a quick shout out to the good folks here at Senior Botanical Garden. Check out the website, check out the garden. There's always something going on here, always something growing. And well, right here, these 3 guys are growing real fast. On my right, but always political left, Ogie Overman, the great broadcaster and journalist. Dr. Don Martin, chairman of the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners, is with us. Keith Granberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. Guys, let's get to it. We've talked about the idea of a 4-day work week before on this show, with people working 10 hours a day, 4 days a week. But now some members of Congress want to make it, do some federal legislation to make the standard work week 32 hours instead of 40. You think this will pass, and you think American businesses and employees are ready for it, Ogie?
I don't think the business community is going to go for it. I don't think the feds need to be involved in the work week.
Done.
I don't think it'll pass, and unless employers can do without basically 20% of productivity, I don't think they're going to go for it.
Okay.
Well, what's happening now is employers are downsizing the number of employees and increasing the hours that they have, so I don't think it's going to be very difficult for 32 hours.
All right. Some health officials are recommending that all children be vaccinated against HPV in order to prevent cancer in sexual organs before the children get to the age of being sexually active. Good idea or bad idea, guys? And would you like to see North Carolina require that kind of vaccine, Ogie?
I'm not sure about that, but if it were COVID, that would be one thing. But sexually transmitted diseases at that age, I don't know that that's necessary.
HPV vaccine for young children, done.
Yeah, CDC is really strong on that, and I think it's important. I think it should be required, but it won't be in any state, I don't think, in this country. Just some
I definitely think it should be. I mean, especially with kids being sexually active, I think that's a deterrent for diseases, so I think it should be.
All right, South Carolina, most South Carolina public school systems require a daily Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. But I think it was last week a 15 or 16-year-old high school girl at one of the schools in South Carolina wouldn't do the pledge. She wouldn't observe the moment of silence, just started walking through the crowd. The teacher grabbed her, threw her up against the wall, took her to the principal's office. There's a lawsuit coming. I don't want to talk about that part because that was unwarranted. But my question is, in general, are you okay with schools requiring students to do Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence, Ogie?
In general, I'm not. But like you say, the details of that may be warranted. Maybe the girl was being disruptive on purpose.
I don't know. We'll see. Don?
Well, I'm okay with requiring it, but in our current statute, North Carolina requires it, but It does say in the statute, no one can be compelled to stand or recite the pledge.
All right, Keith,
If
what do you
no
think?
one can be compelled, then it's not really required because you don't have to do it. And no one should put their hands on a child if they don't want to say something. There's no reason that you should put your hand on a
Absolutely.
child.
That school system is going to get sued big time for
Absolutely.
that.
And you said South Carolina too, so I
Yeah,
understand.
well, that says it all there. Some Guilford County educators want to establish quote-unquote school choice zones, which would allow a student to attend a school outside of the zone that he or she lives in. Good idea or bad idea, Ogie?
Bad idea. You got to have zones. You got to.
You think so?
Absolutely.
All right, Dr. Don, you know all about education. What do you think?
Well, we have a choice plan where you have a resident area and then you get to choose a small number of schools. So I think in fact, the education terminology is controlled choice. A controlled choice plan, I think it can be very successful.
School choice, Keith?
I think a choice should be that there should be resources. Some of these low-performing schools get some teachers in there that teach these kids so they don't have to have choices to go outside their zone.
They don't want to move.
They don't want to move because the resources are there.
All
We
right.
need more resources in some of those schools.
Yeah, good point. Some North Carolina legislators are proposing a law that would require all new homes to be, quote unquote, electric vehicle ready, so that folks who have EVs can charge their EV at home. You okay with that proposal, guys? And is it going to add to the cost of homes, or what do you think?
Well, that's the question. How much is it going to be cost prohibitive for some low-income homes? I mean, is that everybody?
I don't know.
And I'm not against it, but
you think it's a good idea, basically?
yeah, eventually, yeah, sure.
I think it's a good idea, and I don't think it would be that expensive to get them ready to do that. I mean, that's the future.
They'd have to have a charging station built into the house. Keith, what do you think? A
Terrible
requirement?
idea. Some of these places don't even have garages and apartments. How are you gonna mandate somebody to have charging stations? It just doesn't make sense. There's other ways you can use money.
But they're just building new houses. There's a requirement in a new house.
New houses, yeah.
I don't agree with it.
Very quickly, we've talked about daylight savings time before. We recently went on it again. Now some members of Congress want to make it permanent. They might do it this time. I don't know. What do you think, Ogie? Will it fly?
Well, they should. I mean, didn't it pass unanimously in the Senate? But yet
I
it
mean,
never came up for a
they're
vote
getting
in
close.
the House.
Yeah, what do you think, Don?
Well, I'd like for it to be just one time, but I will say this. If you keep daylight savings time the whole year, let me tell you, between November and December, the kids stand out waiting for the school bus. It is dark.
In the dark. And that's not very safe. Keith?
Yes.
I think they should keep it just like it is. I don't think if it's not broke, you shouldn't fix it.
All right. And finally, guys, according to a CNN report, silk pillowcases help reduce wrinkles, acne, even frizzy hair, and they say silk pillowcases will help you sleep better. Guys, have you ever slept on a silk pillowcase, and did it make you sleep better? Ogie?
That sounds like a My Pillow guy kind of scam to me. I'm not buying it at all.
Have you ever, what about you, Don? Have you ever slept on a...
I don't think I have.
Well, you would know, wouldn't you?
No, I guess if that's true, I would know, so I guess I haven't.
Keith, you ever slept on a silk pillowcase?
Well, that's a good question because everything I have in my house is silk.
Yeah.
And everything that gets in my bed is silk. You know what I mean?
I don't know if we make an edit there or not.
I mean, like, pillowcase, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah,
all
right.
Now, that's, fortunately, that's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. Scientists now say that bees learn how to dance at an early age in order to collect pollen. And one reporter asked the scientist, is that a big deal or what? And the scientist said, well, yeah, I mean, if a bee can dance and get pollen, that's nothing to sneeze at. See, it's a pollen season.
Yeah, we get it.
What's wrong with you,
Yeah,
Keith?
we get it.
All right,
Silk,
that
might have been the delivery.
Yeah, we're going over to
Silk,
Keith's
man.
house and sleep on silk with whatever. I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next week.